Okay, so for today, please trust me when I say this. I have taught algebra for a long time. I am older than dirt. So when I show you ways to do things, it's because I know where we're going with it, okay? So please don't be like, well, I can do this another way. I get that. I totally understand. And about 80%, I'm going to let you do it how you want. But when it comes to the algebra stuff, if I don't teach you the proper way to do it, you will be lost next year, and you'll be extremely frustrated. Okay, and it happens every year, and it's usually to the kid who's extremely smart and says, I can do all this in my head, I don't have to listen to you. Those are the kids who fail the worst. Okay, I'm just giving you that heads up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to introduce problems that are not easy to do mentally, because then it will challenge you a little bit to go, oh, okay, this is why she's doing it this way, because not always can I see it right away. Okay, so let's look at the first one. I'm going to go through how to properly do them so you understand. You could have solved them any way you want on your computer. So if I look at this first one, and some kids last year said they've even seen this before, that their teacher in 6th grade drew a line. Does anybody remember why they drew the line?
No.
Okay, so equations have two sides to them, and I like to call them, they're like teeter-totters. You guys been around teeter-totters?
Yeah.
Okay, so teeter-totters, I know, they've taken a lot of them out, but teeter-totters, if you put a kid who's a really tiny kid on this side, okay, James just raised his hand, what do you have to put on the other side in order to teeter-totter? Another tiny kid. If you put Sam on the other side, and Sam decides to jump down, then poor James is going to go flying. There has to be a balance, okay?
Bye, guys. See you later. See you.
Okay, so basically that's what equations are. Guys, you're still talking. So I have to do the same thing to both sides to keep that teeter-totter balance. Okay, I'm also undoing equations, so I'm always looking for the opposite operation. So when I look at this left side right here, and it says -2 times p, I need to think of what's the opposite of multiplication, which is division. I'm going to get away from using the division sign. He is pretty much gone and dead and over. Okay, that's elementary school. We are going to use the fraction mark because we are going to get very comfortable with using fractions. So when I look at this left side, -2 over -2 is 1 whole, which means all I have left here is a p. And then on this side, I'm going to just keep my fraction, and my fraction is -1/2. There is no point of taking 1 divided by 2 because all you're doing is changing the form. You're not changing your answer. And so kind of my rule for algebra stuff is anything that is in decimal form when they give you the problem, you may leave in decimal form. But if they give it to you in integer form, you leave it like a fraction, just like that if you need to. Okay? So that is the proper way to solve it. Okay? Second one, proper way to solve this one, still to draw our line. You're going to think of the opposite operation. So instead of subtracting 2, we're going to add 2. Add 2. What does -2 plus 2 make? 0. So that's why all you have left on the left-hand side is a b. And then I say -10 plus 2 is a -8. -8. Okay? Yes, Sophia.
I have a question about the first one. Couldn't you do it like -2 times -1 divided by 2?
What? No, because it has to equal -1/2. There's other ways to think about it, but the answer does have to be -1/2 because half of 2 is 1, and a negative and negative makes positive. All right, so when I look at this next one has a decimal in it, so it's completely fine to use a decimal in this one if you need to. Okay, what is the operation going on between the d and the -5? Division. So the opposite of division is multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides by a -5. Okay, and if you're saying, well, how does that work? Well, this ends up being -5d over -5, or you can think about how I've taught you how to cross cancel. Either way, the same thing over the same thing is d. It's 1d. And then you multiply this side, and what is 7.2 times -5? 36. Okay? All right, next one. You should be able to do mentally. That is definitely one that you should be able to do. 3 plus blank is 11. Okay? If 8. But the proper way to do this, okay, is to subtract 3 from both sides, because 3 minus 3 is 0. So all I have left is x. And then this is what you would have done mentally in your head anyway. You would have said 11 minus 3 is 8. So that's what you would have done. Okay? All right, so now what I'm going to do is we're going to talk about our learning goal, and then we're going to try some different types, and make sure you understand what to do. So the student will understand how to write and solve equations. Today we're going to focus on making sure you understand how to solve one-step equations. We're going to make sure you understand how to write some equations, which is definitely what last hour I thought the harder part was writing the equations. And then tomorrow we're going to work on solving two-step equations. And again, I'm going to try to give you some that aren't so easy to do mentally so that you can practice the steps. All right, so let's look at this slide. Okay, this slide, some of these you should think are super easy, like the first one. What would be the proper way to solve that one?
60 divided by 60 divided by 12.
Yes, we're going to divide both sides by 12. And n equals 5. That would be the correct way to solve that one. Okay, what would be the correct way to solve the second one, Jacob?
Multiply 4 by 1.25.
So we're going to multiply both sides by 1.25. Good. Okay, and I know some of you are saying, okay, why are you doing that? Well, remember, I know where we're going with this, so there will become a time where doing this to both sides will become uber important. Okay, so these are going to cancel, and we're going to get n equals 5.
So if
Okay.
the answer isn't 5,
Okay, now look at what the question says. 3 of the equations have the same solution. Cross out the one equation that has a different solution.
it's obvious.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's look at the next one. Okay, so n plus 15 equals 10.
Minus 50.
So we're going to subtract 15 from both sides. So we get n equals
5.
negative 5, right? Okay, it's that one. Okay, now look at the last one. This one has the fractions with it. Okay, what would I need to do to both sides? Anna. Yeah, add 3 and 3/4. So fractions are not going to change what we're doing here. So 3 and 3/4 plus 3 and 3/4. The denominators are already the same, which is awesome. So this right here is going to be n. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 and 4 is still going to be 4. 3 plus 1 is 4. What's 4 and 4/4? 5. Okay, now give me a thumbs up. I completely get what we just did. A thumb sideways, okay, thumbs down. I have no idea. Mrs. Grimm is speaking Spanish today. And some of you are giving me 2 thumbs up. Okay, so as I scan the room, almost everyone's thumbs up. There's a couple of you who are sideways. That's okay. And that also means when I give you work time today, I can help you. Okay, I want to go through these 2 because they're dumb. And if they show up on digits, I want you to understand how to write the equation. But I want you to know that I don't think these make a whole lot of sense. However, I want you to know how to solve them. Okay, so the first one talks about the length of an average toucan. That's a bird. Okay, is about 2/3 the length of an average blue and yellow macaw. Toucans are about 24 inches long. Write an equation to represent the situation. Okay, so first time, okay, I read through it. Now I'm going to read through it again. The length of an average toucan is about 2/3 the length of an average blue and yellow macaw. Which bird is bigger? The macaw, right? Okay. Now, I want to get 24. 24 is going to be my total. So I'm going to write 24 equals, okay? The toucan is about 24. How am I going to get the toucan's length if I know the blue and yellow macaw? Jacob.
Well, you know that the blue and yellow macaw is 24, and it's about 2/3 the length by 3 multiplied by 2.
I agree. However, I don't think that's going to make sense to a lot of people, but you are correct. Ashton?
Since it's about 2/3 the length, then you would go 24 in variable plus 1/3.
No, that's not gonna work. But I totally see where you're going with it. James?
So, if it's 2/3, you have to find out what's 1/3 of the 24, which is 8.
Okay, hold on. We want to write an equation. You guys are trying to work the equation.
24 equals, 1/3.
Sophia?
24 equals 12 times 3.
No? Ashton?
Okay, 24 equals your variable minus 2/3.
Not minus 2/3.
Plus 2/3.
Nope.
Divided
Divided by 2.
Jacob, multiply by 2/3.
Why?
Okay, because if I am 2/3 of something, of does mean multiplication, right? First of all, okay. If you are 2/3 of my age, you would take your age and multiply by 2/3. Or sorry, my age and multiply by 2/3, and that would give you your age.
Wait, why? Because that would mean
But you would have to divide by 2/3. If you had your age,
No,
and you had
2/3 of 3rd.
If you multiply by a fraction,
Then it goes smaller.
Listen, do you hear?
No.
Say it again. You're
if you
right.
multiply by a fraction, it makes it small.
If I multiply by half, I just cut the number in half. So if I multiply by 2/3, I made it 2/3
You
smaller.
have to make the number, like if you had the number 10 and then you multiply it by 2/3, you'd have to make it into an improper fraction, 10/1.
Let's make it easier. What if I said 18 times 2?
But I thought the macaw was bigger, so why are we multiplying 18? Because you're
Which would be easy to take into 2/3, right? Because 18 can be broken into thirds.
no, you take this
Okay. Now again, I'm not overly concerned about this one. I just want you to see it. Okay.
If the macaw is
All right.
bigger, why are we multiplying?
To get the 24. Let's try the next one and see if the next one makes a little more sense. Okay.
Good idea.
A zookeeper takes care of 5 mountain lions. The keeper orders 32.5 pounds of meat for them each day. Each mountain lion receives the same amount. What equation can you use to find out how much meat each mountain lion eats per day? Okay, now think about this. Just use your brain. I'm going to order 32.5 pounds of meat for 5 mountain lions. I want them to eat the same amount. What operation would you use? And then let's try to write the equation. Taylor. I would use division. So you guys all agree with me that if I was working this without writing an equation, I would do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's go backwards. So if I was going to write my equation, think about what I just showed you a second ago. So instead of using division, I want to use multiplication. So I'm going to say, instead of saying divide by 5, I'm going to say here's my total, and I'm going to say 5m for mountain lions. Because how would I solve this? Divide both sides by 5. Because 5 times blank gets me to 32.5.
Would it be 32.5?
You could write 32.5 equals 5m. No, you can't write m 5, but you can write the
What
other.
if they're just gonna make it wrong if you just put it on one letter?
They'll probably give you multiple choice, is what I'm guessing, or they'll tell you what letter to use. Yeah. Okay, now let's see if this part makes sense. This is writing 2-step. I would rather focus on this because honestly, that's where we're going to spend most of our time. Okay. All right. Now try not to look at the top because last hour told me that made it way easier, and so then they got frustrated. Okay. So look at letter A. 7 more than twice a number is 17.
Oh, no.
What does the word is mean in math? Anybody? Equals. Okay. So I always start with that. So equals 17. Equals 17. That's the easy part. Okay. Now, how do I write 7 more than? Plus 7. Plus 7. How do I write twice a number?
2x.
2x. There's my equation. There's my equation. See, it's not that bad. Okay, so try not to look at those. All right, letter B. The product. What does product mean?
It's
Multiplication, right? Okay, now here's the word is 7, so we know equals 7. So let's read this. The product of 2 and a number. How would I write that?
2x.
2x. 2 and a number. Increased by 17.
Plus 17.
Plus 17
Equals 7.
Okay?
I know it's easy.
You understand this. Good.
Sort of.
Okay, the difference. What does difference mean?
Subtraction.
Subtraction. The difference between twice a number and 7 is 17.
Equals
2x plus 7 equals
17.
2x minus 7 because it says the difference between. Okay, the difference. All right, and the last one. 17 less than twice a
I got
number
it.
is 7.
I know this. 17
Eva.
equals 7. So
Okay.
17 minus 2x.
Okay, is it 17 minus 2x? Or
No, 2x minus 17.
There you go. 2x minus 17. Whoops. All right.